Hey guys, this is Christian Layese. Welcome to Passion Project Podcast, where we talk about how to live life gutsy and with gusto. Let's go! Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Passion Project Podcast. And I'm so excited because tonight or today, whenever you're listening to the podcast, I have with me the podcast master from Cebu. Guys, he is the guy behind the Creator Life who has 122 episodes on Spotify and on Apple Podcast, right? Grabe, 122. Ang rami ko pang kakaining bigas. Pa-episode 9 pa tayo today. But that's okay. That's life. Latest guys, friends, Sir Jullian Sibi. Hi.
Hi guys. Hello to your listeners and hello Christian. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited. Earlier, actually, mga a week ago, I tried listening to your podcast. My gosh, super insightful, and my favorite was with Alec, yung motivational speaker.
Alec Cuenca, yeah. One of the top podcasters now in the Philippines.
I
Yeah.
love it, and I really idolize your consistency. So, thank you for being here with me tonight. I know you're
Yeah.
busy.
Am I? I'm not sure if I am. Maybe. I'm not sure.
So, how are you so far? How's the podcast life?
uh right now it's getting more hectic because I don't have just the creator life. I have actually two podcasts now. So
What's the other one?
I just started it this year because my inspiration for that is it's been 3 years since I did the creator life, right? So I started it 2018, and the reason why I held off on doing a tech podcast was because I wasn't ready to do a tech podcast. But then I reached 2021. It was almost my birthday, and then it was like, screw it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the tech podcast, and it's called Techie Speak. It's also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I just started it, yeah, around August, and yeah, so far it's been good. I'm trying to rethink it right now. I think I stopped for 2 weeks. So yeah, but so far it's been great. And as for the creator life, it's totally fine. Mm, I'm also trying to do themes now for the podcast. So
Oh,
I
wow.
know, yeah, because I've realized after the fifth season, which is the current one, it's like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do themes for the
For
succeeding
each
seasons
season.
because, yeah, because if I don't do that, it would be harder for me to do. Let's say it would be harder for me to be more consistent because
That's
I'm
right.
already doing two podcasts and then I still have to maintain the blog. So yeah.
Wait, so Techie Speaks is under the Creator Life because I saw it on Spotify too.
Actually, Techie Speak is under my blog. So I have a tech blog. It's utterlytechie.com. I just rebranded
Mm-hmm.
it this year. And yeah, that coincided with my rebrand for the blog. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do a podcast. So there we go.
Awesome. So you have 5 season of the diba, the Creator Life.
Mm-hmm.
When did you
Yeah.
start thinking that each season I will have a niche?
Huh. When I started, I didn't really think of let's have a niche for each season because
Right? Same with
that
me.
wasn't that wasn't the original thing. The original thing when I started back in 2018 because I sort of kind of stagnated with the blog and I needed to
Mm-hmm.
find another avenue for me to do creative stuff. So it was about time that I wanted to do podcasting, but what topics should I do? Should I do tech? But I was still back then, since I was really new with the whole podcasting thing, I wasn't really sure what to tackle. And then I thought to myself, wait, I have a lot of content creator friends. So let's start with that and see where it goes. That's where I got the idea to call it the creator life, because it was all at the beginning content creators, and then I sprinkled in some people who they're not really content creators, but they're in creative fields, so to speak.
That's right.
So there, that's where I started it. Then for the niche thing, I didn't think of it that way. In the succeeding seasons, it was like whoever I can get as a guest on the podcast. That's why,
Right?
yeah,
That's what's
that's
happening with
why.
me for season one.
I mean, for season one, you have to experiment. It's not gonna
That's
be
right.
like super planned. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know podcasters who start with their season ones, or when they start out, it's like, oh, it's going to be the experimental phase. Like, what am I gonna do with this podcast? But at the core, you know what you want to talk about on your podcast. So when it reached when I got to season two, it was very, how do I say this? It was very timing that it was very chaotic, because I wanted to start season two like, let's say, February, but unfortunately, life had other plans, and my day job asked me to be in Japan for 2.5 months. So I wasn't able to record in person for uh that length of time. So what I did was, okay, guys, I'm sorry I can't do season two right now. I have to do it in May. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
internally, that was what I was thinking about. So when I arrived back in Cebu after my business trip in Japan, so what I did was I had to invite a lot of guests right away. So I'd have the whole season, at least the first half, from
Yeah.
May until July. So I just have to survive from May to July. So I think I recorded, more or less 10, 11 episodes before I left for Japan again, because I had to leave by end of May. Or no, not even end of May. It was like mid-May. Anyway, yeah, I had to leave by
Uh-huh.
then. So that time it was like, okay, record 11 to 12 episodes. Go. And so I did. And
That's so interesting.
it covered until July. So when I got
You
back,
know
okay,
what?
I can record again.
That's so interesting because you said you set yourself a deadline at like 2 months to record. If you didn't have that deadline, I don't think you can finish 11. Because sometimes you
No.
just have to put some deadline.
And I set that for myself because I found out that I had to leave by mid-May or something. So I already planned I already planned ahead that I would record as soon as I get home. But I didn't know that it would last until the end of May, until I was told like a week later that it was going to be the
Mm-hmm.
end of May or mid-May. So that's the time I had to schedule. I can't remember exactly how I scheduled it, but I had recordings. I think for a week I had 2 or 3 recordings.
Oh, I love
And
it.
that was not online. That was still in
Mm-hmm.
person. So I would literally go to
Ooh.
either a coffee shop or
Uh-huh. Or the
a
company.
company. Yeah. So that
Which is,
was
by the way, the
very
sponsor of the Creator Life. I found out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They've been a good partner since season 2. And
Yes.
yeah, it and that came about because during tail end season 1, which was not planned. I did not plan the tail end of season 1. I talked to one of the people behind the company Cebu. Her name is Joy Garingo. Shout out to Joy. She's awesome.
Hello.
Hello. So we had a conversation. I interviewed her for season 1. And then I think we started talking about partnering for season 2, like while I was still there in Japan, because they were
Mm-hmm.
about to open their branch in IT Park. So I was already talking with her, and then I think I'm not sure who brought up what, but yeah, from that conversation on, then they become a good partner of the creator life since season 2 until now.
I love it. Ideally, how many episodes will be in one season for podcast? 15?
That really depends on how you frame it because
Uh-huh.
I noticed, especially now, if it depends on how you structure it, there are podcasters who basically structure it in a way that it's half a year each because what they do with that is every half a year they sell it as a package for sponsorships. So
Wow.
that's what they do. If it's for the whole year, you're gonna podcast for the whole year, then they split it into half so they can package it each
So it's
season.
like the business kind of it's the business side of things na no?
Yeah,
That's why.
there's also a business decision. There's also a business decision
Mm-hmm.
involved there because like for example, I think I know a podcaster who limited their episodes to like 12, 13. But yeah, there's no hard limit, to be quite honest. It really depends on your capability and how long do you want to podcast. Do you want to space out your let's say you want to do 3 seasons in a year, so that's how you're gonna space it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it really depends. There's no hard limit. I mean, it's not gonna be less than 10 episodes, but seriously, it really depends. I've seen seasons that are like short. So
So before the season starts, there will always be contracts if who's gonna sponsor it, who's gonna do the. Oh, amazing! I
yeah,
love
that's how
it.
you do the business side, actually,
Oh my
which I haven't
god.
done yet because I haven't really opened up that aspect yet to others. The company
Mm-hmm.
Cebu thing uh was just verbal, and we're already friends, so it was like that was the
Awesome.
deal there.
All right. Either way, if you guys don't know, the topic that we're going to be discussing tonight will be about growth, about living outside the Philippines and living alone. So can you shared earlier Kuya CB na I'm just going to call you Kuya CB na lang.
Woo!
Oy. I'm used to calling you Kuya. Asa
Yeah,
na si
yeah, yeah.
Kuan?
I'm not Kuya is okay. Just don't call me Tito or Lolo. I don't the Kuya I'm fine because that's always been my role since
Mhm. As
because
in,
I
oh
have
my
a
God.
younger sister. Yeah, that's my role. I have a
Just
younger
so you know,
sister, so
guys, before we got friends, we became friends sa blogging industry in Cebu. We were friends na kami noon pa way back hindi pa ako
yeah.
nagba-vlog.
Yeah. Even before Christian got into blogging and stuff, like we already
Right?
knew each other.
And whenever we see, in Cebu na, uy, we're always in the same event,
Yeah.
but different table because they have a different ano man like group organization for blogging.
Group man to. Like I think now I don't see that
It's
too often
individual.
anymore. No. It's not really individual. It's more like tungod siguro like just because it's already like individual, like everyone's just gonna get lumped together in a way. So
Mhm.
there's no more. I don't know. I don't feel the group thing anymore.
I know, especially during the pandemic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Either way, so can you tell us more about your Japan escapade? You're living alone. How was it and all?
Okay. So I have a funny story because I don't know if that was really the first time I lived alone outside Cebu, but I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely say it was my first time outside the country alone. I mean, technically not alone because usually in business trips, you're with workmates, so you're not totally
Mm-hmm.
alone. But especially the first time because my workmates were not really, they were not, it wasn't their first time anymore. So they wouldn't go with me when I want to go out to go around the Japan. So it was mostly just me just walking around and just appreciating the view. And since it was my first time, it's like I want to go this place and that place and this place and that place. So it was let's just say I've been yearning for that moment in a way
Yeah.
because for the longest time, always
The
living with the
freedom.
parents. Yeah, it that freedom comes with a sense of responsibility though.
Of course.
Like it's not gonna be like, oh, freedom, yes, I'm away from my parents, yeah. No, it's not
But you
not
have to
not
clean the
gonna be all
dishes.
sunshine and rainbows. You will tend to miss things sometimes, but especially the first time, like I was like, oh yes, I get control over my destiny when it comes to my schedule. That was the one thing I
That's right.
really loved about that. It wasn't that I'm free with my parents, no, because usually sometimes you want to be with your family, but that's not what I was annoyed about. What I was really annoyed about was owning my time, because sometimes even if your parents let you own your time, sometimes they can overrule that ruling over you. They can overrule
That's right.
your owning of time and just get you. So being there in Japan means that I get to own my time, like for the first time ever. So
Hmm.
yeah, that
So
way.
you were there for work, right? And how many months were you there?
So as of now, I've been there thrice, and each time was 2.5 months. So that was it's long. I mean, it's not like I've known people who've been there for like longer, like they stay there for a year or more.
Uh
But
huh.
for me, that felt long enough, but not too long that like I would go insane in a way.
Uh
I don't
huh.
know. I can't really say that that's what I would feel until I would experience that length, because I only was there for like 2.5 months. And then back in 2019, I think the max amount of time you could go, at least for me in the business trip, was like
Mm-hmm.
you can go at most 6 months. Not
Okay.
sure if it was 6 months. So basically, half of your years gonna be going to Japan. You're just gonna be there in Japan. So yeah, that was really exciting, but at the same time, you miss the things you were able to do in the Philippines. Like you can't.
Yeah.
There's no dim. Was there dim sum in Japan? Yeah, I think there was, but like McDonald's there doesn't have chicken. There's no
Yeah, I
rice.
heard.
Yeah, it's just burgers and fries and nuggets, and they
And the
have
food
weird
is
desserts. But
smaller.
huh? No, our McDo is smaller. Are you kidding me? McDo there in Japan is like dako, like so big. Are you kidding me? Our
I
McDo is
it's
so
not
small.
true the ay na. Wait, McDo in Japan is smaller.
No, it's bigger.
It's the
What are you talking
same.
about? No, it's bigger there.
It's bigger the
They're
eye. There's actually a
yeah.
misconception. Japanese people are way smaller because their fries are
No.
smaller, their cokes are smaller.
No. Are you kidding me? I mean, maybe the fries size are relatively the same because that's a standard ish. But their burgers are
Hmm.
big.
Okay, perfect. Either way,
Yeah.
can you share to our listeners what were the three challenges you really felt when you moved out or you when you went to Japan and lived there alone?
Oh,
Technically.
challenges. As I mentioned, I've been yearning for that for basically my whole life. So, what may be challenging for most people, like I wanted to take on the challenge. So my mood was like, even though it's gonna be hard, like I want to take the challenge because I've been yearning for this for so long. So one challenge I had was basically uh the chores. Like chores. Like
Right?
if you're not used to chores, like I was used a bit to chores, but if you're not really used to
Mm.
chores, then you will really that would be a challenge. Like that would add to your schedule. Like, sometimes when
Just
you're living
claim
with your
it. You
parents, you
don't
don't
do chores. I
really
don't do chores too.
like Right now, I do some chores because you don't have any helper in the house. So inevitable that
Mm-hmm.
you have to do chores, but not as much as when you're alone. Are you kidding me? You will be the one to wash your clothes. You'll be the one to cook for yourself. You'll be the one to fix everything and make sure that your place is clean, because sometimes when you're alone, then you'll be staring at stuff you'll be staring at the ceiling, you'll be staring at the wall, you'll be staring at the floor. Then you will see it's dirty. So you realize like, oh, it's dirty, so I'll just clean. And then sometimes it's therapeutic to clean because uh you get to not think. You're just gonna clean. Okay. So that if
So
you're not
cleaning
used
was
to,
like your
yeah.
escape in Japan, but you don't like it, but you still do it because it's,
My escape in Japan was more of going out of the apartment and seeing Japan more than
oh
cleaning.
yeah.
Like I learned to love cleaning there, because otherwise
Mm-hmm.
if you're not gonna love cleaning when you're alone, then I don't know what, go to a hotel, but that's not sustainable. So it's really best that you do chores. Like I think the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I haven't really, I think it's a separate challenge for me, was basically to cook. Like I didn't learn how to cook before going there, so that was really a challenge, but I found my ways, and it's a good thing that during our business trip we have allowance. So it's not like we really have to cheap out a lot to eat, especially if it's your first time. You shouldn't cheap out. You should spend, like, if you're in a business trip and you're given allowance, so first time, don't skimp. Don't skimp on your food, because you really want
That's
to
true.
explore all your food options there. So even me, even it was my third time last year, I didn't skip on food. I just eat yummy food in Japan, because you don't
That's
get to eat
right.
that in the Philippines.
That's true. I mean, it's still an experience even though it's a business trip, diba?
Yeah, like you're only gonna work 5 times a week. So what are you gonna do in the weekend? And then there would be days that it would be a holiday there, but it's not a holiday in the Philippines. So there, it's it's an experience, and I can't say anything related to the pandemic, because my last time there, it was like, is the pandemic going to be worse? Is COVID going to be worse or not? Or it was still in that flux moment. It wasn't the,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's the pandemic already. There's already an impact. When I was there the last time, it was like, okay, not sure. You're still in the cruise ship in Japan. Okay. So it was that.
So your number one
Uh
challenge was chores. What's your number two challenge?
yeah, the number two challenge was cooking. I separated it because food
Still
is very
chores.
important. It's
That's true.
technically still chores, but at least with like cleaning, or like actually doing chores, is very organized there. Like you really want to segregate your trash in Japan, because it's very organized.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are you feel at ease when you follow the rules there, because it's very organized. Unlike here, it's like, okay, I follow the rules, but it still doesn't work in a way.
Right.
But there in Japan, it's like, okay, follow the rules and you'll be fine
Mm-hmm.
there. And then,
Also, I think challenge talaga yung cooking because with cleaning, if you don't clean, you don't die. If you don't cook or if you don't go out to buy food, you're
you
gonna
die.
starve,
Yeah.
right?
Then especially, okay, I think this will segue to my third challenge. And this
Mm-hmm.
is specific to Japan. So if you're going to another country that's relatively fine with this problem, then you'll be
Mm-hmm.
fine. The third is the Japanese language. You have to learn Nihongo. You have to learn the
Oh,
Japanese language. You
shucks.
won't live there. Like, it's so rare to see Japanese people speak anything but Japanese. Like
Really? Oh, wow.
90%. Like, you talk to people there, it's Nihongo. You order something, it should be Nihongo. Or you just point. But you don't want to be the person that keeps on pointing, especially if you frequent a certain place. Don't. You have to speak.
Yeah. Sign of
And
respect din siya, di ba?
mm, and basically, I think eventually when you don't speak in the beginning, that then you pick up some cues from the people around you, how they order and stuff. So after that, it becomes something of a ooh, like you learn words, you actually learn proper, like learn Japanese, like real world Japanese properly there. Like you could learn all you want through books and stuff, but when you're there and learning
The
it for
best yung
real,
conversational
yeah,
talaga na Japanese.
yeah, more like immersion. Like you have to immerse yourself there.
All right. That's so interesting. I thought you would be like, "Oh, I hate the weather. It's too cold."
My
Or
God,
do you
like
like the
what
weather?
I love, actually, I don't know. I think being fat is an advantage, especially in winter.
We have more adipose tissue, aka
Yeah,
fat.
I mean, but even though I was fat, like if you're reach single digits in Japan, no, you can't get away with like light clothing. You really have to jacket up. Like I tried going out. How many degrees? 3, 2 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you
Lord.
really need thick. Like you need to have a lot of heat tech with you.
Earlier you mentioned that language was one of the challenges you faced. Can you say that it's so hard to connect intimate relationships in Japan just because you don't speak the language? Or just
You're.
friendships and all?
Hmm. It depends on the person still. Like we tend to generalize like a nation like Japan. Usually the Japanese ones speak. It still depends on the person, like what their background, if they have studied in America or not. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's always that case. But it really depends. Okay? If it's the usual Japanese, they usually just gravitate towards fellow Japanese. But yeah, it really depends. Really depends on their background. Kaya I think because I know someone, like in fact I've interviewed her on the podcast. You can go check it out. See, I'm already invading your podcast. Anyway.
It's okay. I love it. Cool.
So her name was Ayano Tominaga. She's a tech journalist in Japan. So I met her,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think her boyfriend is American, but he moved to Japan with her. So they're there. So the guy has to learn speak Japanese. He's working there also. But yeah, again, it really depends on the background. If you know, love conquers all and whatever, blah 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 blah, whatever that means. So it really depends. It's not like oh Japanese is like that. No, it still depends on what the person has experienced.
Beside your co-workers there, were you able to like, meet other people, Japanese people?
I was mostly very reserved in Japan. Like
Okay.
I think I was really talking to people who are not Japanese. Yeah,
True.
you tend to meet people there who are not Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough with Pinoy because there are many Pinoys there. You just have to find them because it's mostly Japanese there. But there are Pinoy there. There's even a Pinoy restaurant there. Yeah, there are Pinoy there. But some of them are either they work there or it's a situation where the Japanese guy found a Filipina girl in the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
then was brought back there to Japan. So they live there. So there are those, the mix, like half.
Mga
But they're
expats,
born in
no?
Japan, so they're technically Japanese in a way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know how that because I think I read in a news article that recently the golfer Yuka Saso
Mm-hmm.
had to pick her citizenship because yes, you're a dual citizen, but in the age of 22, you have by the age of 22, you have to pick You have to pick your citizenship because you can't really be a dual citizen.
Citizen in Japan. Wow.
Yeah. So smart of her to choose Japanese citizenship because you would be a total dummy if you pick your Filipino citizenship. Seriously, don't. Especially now. We're not gonna get into that, but no. No.
So since it's hard to communicate a little bit in Japan, what was your fun night or fun activities, or you're just always doing mukbangs and all?
As I mentioned, we're not truly alone in Japan. I have workmates. So if any fun activity was to happen, it would usually be with
It was with them.
workmates. Yeah. Because it's easier. Like, why
That's
would
right.
you why would you go out of your way to find other people unless you're that person? Then fine, go. You do what you want. But usually if it's your first time there, you would probably hesitate to like explore too much. So you'd
Mm-hmm.
rather, I don't know, just go with your workmates. But
That's
you
true.
know, like uh at one point I think I went to Osaka alone. That was an experience. That was fun.
Uh huh.
So
Either
yeah,
way,
it depends.
mhm. What were your top three lessons learned that you felt like, "Nah, I'm only gonna, learn this just because I did it here while living alone, while traveling alone, while not having the comfort of your own home and family."
Hmm, lessons learned. For me, one of them is ano, knowing yourself. Like sometimes yes, you can know yourself by like going to a solo trip alone, but then like not having that capability to be able to go back home because there's a difference, right? Like you go on a solo trip by yourself, like for example now, although very weird, it's the pandemic, whatever. Like you go on a solo trip, let's say to Siargao, but you can still go home because it's not that expensive to go home. But in my case, back when I was in Japan, like you really had no option to go home right away because one, you were paid by your company to be there for 2.5 months to work there. Two, you have allowance, so that's also a plus. And then three, it's very expensive to take a flight going home randomly. So might as well not do that. And so you get to learn more about yourself because you're forced in that situation, especially in my case. Like part of me is like, oh, I want to do this, and then part of me is like, it's kind of forced because it's a business trip. But especially in my company, you always get asked whether you want to take this opportunity. Like, and you always have a choice to say yes or no. But I took that chance and said yes because one, I really wanted to experience living alone basically. And so yeah, I got to know myself more while I was in that trip. Like I realized that maybe I don't really hate cleaning. I just don't like wasting my time.
Same. Oh my god.
Diba? Like when you realize things like when you own your own time and then you really decide to clean or do the chores, after that it's like you're fine. But then when you're being asked to do chores, it's like it's a different feeling, diba?
Yeah. And also
So
we know that time is precious. Like we'd rather chill or rest or go to work to earn, or rather than clean the dishes, because people can clean it too, but they can do the podcast.
yeah. I mean,
That's
to be
actually,
fair, like for me, I just find like whenever I'm in that situation, I just find ways to insert the thing I want to do while I'm doing the
while I'm
chore.
cleaning it.
Like let's say I'm asked to clean the house, something like that. I just listen to a podcast
That's
and
true.
those take time. Like I listen to 2 hour podcasts, so it's not like
Wow.
yeah, I do.
We grab your attention span, huh? In fairness, two
I mean,
hours.
lately it's been dwindling, but then like if I get into focus, like let's say I have to do something, then I listen to a podcast. I can listen straight. I've done that
True.
already. I've listened to 2.5 hour podcasts.
So
Yeah.
your first lesson was you learned more about yourself. The second one was
The second one was oh, what else have I learned through that experience? Because it's been,
survive.
to be fair, it's been a while. It's been a
Uh-huh.
year kapin, like a year plus. So it's not like I kind of want to get back into that feeling again of going to Japan.
Same. I miss
Um
traveling. Oh my gosh.
'Di ba? Second lesson I've learned is to widen your perspective. Like, sometimes when you're just in the Philippines, you're just in your hole, aka Cebu. Like I even enjoy going to Manila because it's a different environment than Cebu. Cebu is like, it's so super
And it's like
chill.
the safe zone.
Like it no, like for me, Cebu is way chill compared to Manila. Like Manila, everything is going on. In Cebu, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's something going on, but then like there's this pocket where it's like, okay, it's like chill. So I can chill there. So like Japan, Japan was an eye opener. Like you tend to realize things there, like what they do there. And then one thing I really appreciate about Japan is they don't really care about what you do unless it interferes with what they do. Like let's
Mm-hmm.
say, like, here in the Philippines, like even though you're not even bothering other people, they will sometimes bother you, like for no reason than to just want to bother people, which
Mm-hmm.
sucks. Like I'm trying not to speak Bisaya because I would get angrier. I would sound angrier than I am. Like, I don't want that. So yeah, like people here, they tend to push other people's buttons even though they didn't touch you at all. But they're in Japan, it's like, okay, they're not gonna bother you as long as you don't bother them.
That's right. And also
Yeah.
probably they're so busy.
I mean, depends on the person still. I mean, generally, yeah. But for the most part, if you don't touch them, they won't touch you.
That's true. So what's your last lesson?
My last lesson. My last lesson is I'm really dependent on internet. Like I couldn't imagine what would my life be there in Japan without the internet. Like
Right.
imagine missing people through the internet, right? Without the
That's right.
internet, right? You can't what you'd have to do a collect call that would probably cost a lot of money to have an international call. Whereas if you have the internet, okay, you can just Facebook, do video call. So even though I miss my family when I was there, it wasn't as painful, more so for me than for them. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, yeah, it's not as painful to miss people when you have the internet. And by the way, one thing I realize is our internet here really sucks in the Philippines. My gosh, when I was in Japan, that's all I would care about. The internet speed, even though you're in the CR in the subway in Japan, it's still faster than internet when you're like and under the heat of the sun. It's probably still faster. So sorry. Sorry, Philippines. You're a
So
long way to go.
their basic internet there is how many Mbps di ay?
Um, the place I was staying, it was part of the apartment that was paid by the company. But basically, it had
Mm-hmm.
100 Mbps right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, unlike, let's say, 100 Mbps in the Philippines, with there, it's like very consistent. Like,
Mm.
you like, I would complain more that the person I'm talking to is always choppy or like cutting out because the internet's bad on their side, which is mostly the Philippines. But there it's just like, oh, like
No
I
packet
did,
loss and all.
yeah, I did some episodes online there while I was still in Japan. Like I recorded episodes there. And I had a smooth sailing experience. I didn't have any cut-offs or what. And I was talking to
Mm-hmm.
someone, no, I was already very happy with the internet there. I was able to talk to someone from the US with no problem, no choppy. It's not like, oh, can you hear me? Blah blah blah. It's not that at all.
Yeah, grabe. Here, ang basic internet nato, kay murag, it's like, oh, it's so fast, the internet here. How many? 5 Mbps? Huh? That's fast? That's not fast.
That's not
Di
fast.
ba?
Kinda
Even in
like
hotels.
I would scoff. I would even scoff at 30 Mbps now because that's slow.
Even in
Honestly, that's
high-end
very
hotels
slow.
in Cebu, there'd be like super
That's not
ultra mega fast internet, but then you'd be like, huh?
huh?
7 is not
30?
7 Mbps is not fast.
No, you can't stream HD YouTube with that. I
Either
mean,
way, going back to
you could
Mhm.
try, but eh. Eh,
going
seriously.
back to giving tips, I will be sharing this TikTok or on TikTok, and a lot of people have been really wanting to go out of the Philippines, live their
Mm,
own
mm,
independence life and all. Hashtag
mm.
independent living. What are your top three tips for them?
um, make sure you want it. Like you really want it. Like you really, really, really want it because when you're there, it's all you. There's no, you can't phone home. You can't, there, it depends on your situation also. But sometimes you won't even have friends. You'll have to make new
That's
friends
right.
yourself.
Yeah. And there's
Otherwise,
no
you'd
going
have a
back.
problem. And then I think for me at the time, the problem was, uh, I was the only one from the Cebu. My workmates were from Manila, so I still had to get to know them anyway. So I still had to make new friends.
And you have
So
to speak in Tagalog.
yeah, which was, I mean, the advantage for me was I was already blogging at the time, so I was already used to talking to people in Manila, so
Mm-hmm.
it's already natural. And I was already doing the podcast as well,
Wait, you're good
ish.
with speaking in Tagalog?
Like I had to learn, otherwise I couldn't talk to them. I mean,
True.
I'm not saying I'm good, but I could say like I'm decent now.
Uh-huh. A
So
lot of
yeah,
my Manila friends always say now, you know what? Cebu people speak so much good English rather than Tagalog. So like I always tell
yeah,
them sorry, but like our first language is Cebuano and then English and then Tagalog. So it's our third
yeah,
language na the Tagalog.
yeah.
Di ba?
To be fair, yeah, like we're just so used to Cebuano. Like,
Uh-huh.
fun fact, I used to just speak English a lot, even more than
Mm-hmm.
Cebuano when I was a kid. And it was only because of high school and college that I was able to speak Cebuano, but it's still broken. I would admit that.
Uh-huh.
It's not as good. Like I would sometimes sound konyo-ish, but now
Right?
not really. Yeah, now not really. I kind of
True.
lost that. Yeah, especially if you're surrounding yourself with people who are very well versed in Cebuano. So okay, you don't wanna act weird.
They always tell me now, Cebuano sounds so konyo. And I will be like, no, we just slow our words because we don't know the next word for Tagalog. So we're like,
Yeah,
kakain na ako right now. Ganun.
di kami sanay magtagalog ah.
Di ba?
Don't us. We're just not used to it. We'd rather speak English to a lot of people.
That's right.
That's like our default when we don't know how to speak their language. It's good to be English, not Tagalog.
Speak
I'm
English.
sorry.
So your number
Not
one
sorry,
lesson
really.
was you really, I not lesson. Your tip was you really need to want it, right?
Yeah, you need to want it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time.
Mm-hmm. What's your
Yeah.
second one?
My second tip is to make sure you have a laptop. I know it's a weird tip, and that probably won't apply to everyone. Maybe laptop or a phone, but I
Everyone
generally
has a phone
think,
though.
yeah, that I mean, at least if you have a phone, make sure your phone works in other countries so that you won't have to buy another phone there. But seriously, the reason why I say laptop because you can store everything there. Like if you need to store stuff like when you're bored, especially when you're bored, yes, you could store it on the phone, but your phone will run out of battery first compared to your laptop. So it's
That's
always
right.
nice to have a bigger device which has a big battery. Yes, you can say power bank, but that's so I just enjoy having a laptop with me. So it's gonna be my in case I have to go alone to a certain place, like I can't go out or anything, at least I have something. Because sometimes when you stare at your phone, it's so small. Sometimes your eyes will be broken or something like that. So weird tip, but yeah. Get a laptop and store
No,
most
it's
of your
not a
stuff
weird
there.
tip. It's a very it's a very practical tip.
Yeah. It's a techie tip, to be honest.
Mhm. On brand pa rin siya, di ba?
Yeah, of course. I'm utterly techie. So, yeah.
All right. True. Also, everyone's working from home, so you better get your second job through your laptop and earn more
Yeah.
since you're gonna be doing all by yourself.
Yeah. And then, especially now where I think the US has a shortage, labor shortage, because they realized,
Mhm.
oh, I can do this. So I'll just do this.
With a
Not the
virtual
usual
assistant
job.
from the Philippines who I just pay $4 an hour.
Diba? Yeah. So
As in.
it may sound techy and it may sound unusual as a tip, but the way we work now, especially if you want to be independent, then
That's right.
getting a job online is very easy and it's easier when you do a laptop
Mm-hmm.
compared to having a phone.
True.
Yeah.
So what's your last tip?
Um it's kind of related to my second tip. Get good internet.
True.
Diba? Like
Uh-huh.
I was fortunate enough that the apartment I was in was one paid by our company and two it had internet right away, so I didn't have to worry about that. All I had to worry about was get a wireless router because it's only a port, so you need to get your own router so that you can connect to it and then just use Wi-Fi, so it's gonna be easier in
Mm-hmm.
your life. But yeah, seriously though, invest in good internet. Can't believe I'm suggesting techie tips instead of like life tips. That's all I
No, it's
have in my
okay. We
head.
love it. We love
That's all I have in
variations
my
here.
head. That's all I have in my head. So yeah, the reason I also say invest in good internet because what if you miss your family? It's
Mm-hmm.
unavoidable. Even though you want to be the most independent person ever, you will still miss the people you love the most. So from time to time, you can catch up with them. Doesn't have to be every day because they also have lives and they don't wanna. Sometimes they don't wanna spend time too much. Like I think the first time uh my first business trip, they would call often. Not like every day, but then like once a week, I guess. The first
Mm-hmm.
month. But then eventually in my succeeding trips, like, oh, it's so infrequent now. It would be like twice a month, once
Mm-hmm.
a month,
Wow.
or like once
Really?
a week the most. Yeah. Because they by that time they knew I would be fine because it wasn't my first
Yeah.
go at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the worry for parents is that when you do something the first time, that's when they worry the
Mm-hmm.
most because they don't know how it will go. So as long as they
That's
know
right.
how things will go in the end, then that's the time they're more comfy with you doing those things.
And also they
So
know na after 2.5 months he'll be back.
yeah, there's that, but it's still different. Anything can happen. What if you're in an accident and then you go to the hospital there? So
That's true.
it's a lot can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So see how getting good internet would actually cascade into so many things.
Super every
Like
day. Your translation for Google, your map.
uh okay, bonus tip, especially if you're going to a country which you don't know the language, tips for
Mm-hmm.
being independent. Make sure you know the basic words of the freaking language. You don't want to be going there and then like or like you're not gonna say anything and just point, 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 point. At least you
Uh-huh.
know some words, like survival words there. I'm just gonna call them survival words. Just know them. You can learn the rest over time, but basically learn survival words because otherwise you just have a hard time and it became Coco Crunch.
True. Or if you don't really want to learn because you're going there for a week lang, maybe buy those shirts na merong mga logo na Wi-Fi, toilet, bathroom, or like subway, train, food. Do you see that? Have you seen that photo? Like parang siyang t-shirt na may mga logo, so you just where's the room or the bathroom? Just a tip, you know.
I mean, you could do that, but not everyone has that shirt. So just best thing is to just keep those words in
Link
your
on my
brain.
bio, char.
I mean, seriously, guys, don't be lazy with things like that because you're gonna die if you don't learn. You don't want to be that
That's
person who
true.
keeps pointing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Disrespectful, and also you wanna, dive in with them too and jive.
yeah, like the it's always best to like just learn the words so that if ever you want to go out, you don't need to bring a friend. Like for in my
Mm-hmm.
case, eventually I could do that. Like I just go out and then go with like just go it alone, or not asking my workmates to go with me. It would always be the other way around. Like they
Mm-hmm.
are depending on you in a way. Yeah, there. Learn the
It
words.
doesn't. It doesn't have to be perfectly, but as long as you try.
No, yeah, as long as you try. The Japanese will understand you because one, it's not your native language, and two, you
Mm-hmm.
tried. So they're gonna be more forgiving. Especially
Awesome.
if you're new there.
Thank you so much for sharing those tips. Oh my God. I'm sure TikTok will love this one because I've been seeing a lot of adulting, living alone in this new country TikTok videos, and they really want some tips. So thank you so much, Kuya CB. In this podcast, I actually practice manifestation because I believe in manifestation. Whatever you
Yeah.
think, whatever you write, whatever you say, the universe or the Lord or whoever you are praising is listening 24/7, and it's not going to
Mm.
be impossible for you not to, have it. So, for today's manifestation, for my end, I will be sharing it
Mm-hmm.
and you will also be sharing yours.
Sure.
My manifestation will be I love Joy Spring.
Yeah.
OG podcast about adulting, and I enjoy her
Oh,
so much.
she's been there since like way
Yeah.
before people knew what podcasting was here in the Philippines. Oh,
I,
fun fact, I used to
she
listen to
mhm,
podcasts. I used to listen to podcasts well before like it was really I think well
podcast,
before
a thing.
blogging was a thing. I'm not sure.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
I used to, yeah, it was that old. Because podcasts are old. They're not very new in the new US. They're
I
very old,
think
actually.
podcasts were like, like very exclusive since it wasn't really on Spotify way back then. Or
There was
I
no
believe it was
Spotify way
Apple
back then.
Podcast. I know, but like
There was no
Apple Podcast.
yeah.
I mean, not
You had
everyone
like
has Apple, diba?
I mean, there's iTunes. You could always get that. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but not
not the
everyone has
same.
Mac.
No, but iTunes is on Windows. So not like I mean, you wouldn't think of using iTunes to do podcasting. Like that's not your first
True,
chain of
true.
thought. You'd probably go to LimeWire or See,
Oh my
if you're
gosh.
you
I
will
know
know
LimeWire.
LimeWire.
I
Diba?
know. It's
Yeah.
like the torrent of the old age.
Yeah. So if you know LimeWire, then you're old. Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, I love her. I actually, fun fact, she actually opened a business like a podcasting business would
Mm.
that would I know like content create or podcast creators would just submit and then they would have a video editor for you or an editor for your
Mm.
podcast and all.
Mm.
It's called Spring
Yeah.
Studios, and before they launched it with a no like a competition, like a podcast
Yeah, I think I
competition.
saw
So
that. I think I saw
yeah,
that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the top 15. Feeler
Yeah,
kay
I saw it.
ko. So
Yeah.
na top 15 ko. So wala pa ko yung mga equipments and all. I only have my iPhone. And then I put pa
That's all you
talaga
need,
my,
apparently.
diba? And a soft. Kaya para yung pop-up pa and all. It
Yeah, yeah,
wouldn't
yeah, yeah,
sound
yeah.
so bad. So
Yeah.
funny kay ko kay like, oh my God, top 15 ako. Feel na good na ako na I'm gonna win this thing. I really felt like, na, ooh, I'm better than them and all. So funny because I already ordered a pop filter
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
the the prize would be like a Rode microphone. I was like, oh, it's so bad. It doesn't have a pop
Sobrana sa ng
filter. Let me order
manifestation.
one. So I ordered one, but then
Yeah, yeah.
fast forward to the thing, I didn't win. So I still have the pop filter though.
Ang sana memory.
At least advance ako mag-isip.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But ano lang, uh know why you started one. It's not like
That's right.
it's not gonna be for everyone podcasting. Like
Mm-hmm.
the average, I think I read somewhere that the average person would fall off doing a podcast after 7 episodes.
Mm-hmm. At least I'm
So
on
the
my
fact,
ninth.
yeah, you're already in your ninth. So congrats. Anyway, yeah. So
Wait, ang rami na nating segue. My segue was I want to interview her next year on my
that's
podcast.
nice.
I mean, you
Yeah.
never
Oh,
know.
yeah, you
That's
never
my
know.
manifestation.
Speaking of,
Lord,
good.
universe, let it happen. Okay, go. What's yours? What's your manifestation?
Yeah, since you said that, I actually have one of my own. And it's been a while since I've said it on a podcast. I want
Ooh.
to interview Catriona Gray.
Oh my God.
'Di ba?
Oh,
I want to interview
dude,
Catriona
I
Gray.
swear.
That's been my dream since
Oh, yeah.
last year. I'm not sure
Uh-huh.
exactly. Basta,
Why?
yeah, I want to interview
Because
her.
she's beautiful or because she's
Oh,
smart?
it's not. It's both. And her advocacies are awesome. Like
Yeah,
it's not.
and you really see it.
Yeah, you see it, Beto, and she has a good voice
Mm-hmm.
apparently because she's singing now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too bad she's taken. So it's gonna be quite hard, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
She was actually doing TikTok live last night and it was so good. It was very conversational. Fans were sending out questions, very random lang, and she was very down for it in fairness.
Yeah, it's like
So
it's
you
like
you'll
her
never
and Pia
know.
Wurtzbach. It's like 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Although
I
Pia
mean, you
Wurtzbach
can
already has
send
a
the
podcast. Yeah, so
yeah, actually. Well, we'll never know unless you send that email. Either way, thank you
yeah.
so much, Kuya CB, for that time. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. No problem.
All
I
right.
love the conversation. It was fun. It was fun being a guest for once because I'm so used to being the host, hosting 122 episodes as of this
As
recording.
in, girl. Grabe. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for all your lessons, your tips, and everything that you have shared
Yeah.
tonight. I love it kasi
Yeah.
super minimal lang yung ano ko yung voice. So like the listeners will love it when I don't talk
Yeah.
too much because they'd be like, Chris, you're talking too much. Don't interfere when the guest is gonna okay.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of do that too, pero I've reached a point where it depends. It depends on the guest. Like if
Super.
if the disturbing thing would contribute to the whole podcast, then I would do it. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't, let's say the topic is serious enough, then that's the time where okay, talk all you want for 30 minutes. I do not
Yes,
care.
yes, yes. That's right. And also, I feel like because us as podcasters, we tend to fill the lag moments.
Yep.
Diba? Like it's just
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah, yeah.
second sense.
You can't edit everything, guys. As someone who
Mm-hmm.
does everything by himself, so yeah, you can't edit everything. So sometimes you would do pre-editing, like you're conditioning your voice and how you speak and how you're gonna do the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that you're gonna edit this out or whatever. So yeah.
All right, go promote your podcast. Where can we see you? What's next with Julian Sibi and Techie Speaks? Techie Speaks, Techie Talks,
Okay,
Techie
I'm
Talks.
gonna I think I'm gonna do my I think I'm gonna do my plugs. Anyway, I'm gonna do
Go.
this. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Uh it's been fun talking to Christian. It's been a while. I haven't talked to this guy in
Ages,
months.
years.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, years. So yeah, if you wanna hear my if you wanna read my articles, it's utterlytechy.com. If you wanna listen to the podcasts I do, I have two of them. One of them is the Creator Life, a podcast where I talk to creators, make sense of how they live their lives as creators. You can follow it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow it on social media. That's Creator Life Pod, Creator Life POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you want to learn more about tech without being too techy, because that was my point. So you can go to Techie Speak, go to the Techie Speak podcast. It's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And it has no dedicated social media yet. So just go to my Utterly Techie social media handle. So that's Utterly Techie on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And yeah, I guess that's it for me to plug, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. That's it for tonight's episode. Goodbye, guys. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. If you want to see the video clips of this episode, head on to my YouTube channel, Christian Layese, to watch. Also, do not forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter if you have. All the links will be on the description bar of this podcast. You just have to click it. Till next time, bye!